The song of the eye travels to the ear of the heart so swiftly that the heart sees what the eye hears before the brain pronounces. My mother used to tell this story about me when I was very little. When we went to the movies, he was walking. He was maybe 2, 3 years old. We took him to see Shirley Temple in this movie. And evidently, I vaguely remember this. It's either a dream or it happened. I got out of my seat and I went into the aisle because Shirley Temple was up on the screen and she was dancing. And she was famous, that song that she used to sing in that movie, on the good ship, lollipop, da-da-dee. So I wanted to go and dance with her. I didn't know what a movie was. She was there, I was here, so I tried to go up on the screen. I wasn't even thinking that it was much bigger than me in a way. And the matron, in those days we had matrons and ushers. A matron dressed in white, she looked like a nurse. She came with a flashlight and she took me and put me back to go sit with my mother. And I didn't like that because I wanted to dance with that girl that was up on the screen. And I think I still want to dance with that girl. Maybe that's what I'm all about. So that you don't have to do the rest of the movie. You just found out what I am, a guy who wants to dance on the screen with that girl. In school, they found out I had that edge, you know, that need. And they encouraged me. So by the time the 4th grade came around, I was doing a mural in the classroom and the other kids had to study, you know. My parents didn't really, they thought it was, you know, I was getting an honor to be able to do this, and they didn't know that, you know, that it was going to end up, that's something I was going to do all my life and maybe not make a living. And I did all kinds of things that people didn't do, you know. So, but they were very nice. They used to. My mother, when I had a studio in Brooklyn, my mother would bring a care package, and she would sweep the floor. Now, me and my father one time, I think the only time we ever did that, we went for a walk while she swept the floor, and I took him into a bar. This was in the waterfront district in Brooklyn. We went in and he bought me a beer, which was amazing because I never thought he would do a thing like that. So there we are, and he confessed to me that he always wanted to take a boat across the, I mean, he had come over on a boat years before, but he always wanted to go on a boat. But she doesn't want to go, she's afraid of water, right? Talking about my mother. So. But she came over on a boat too. So they knew that I was going to be different. Yeah.
On m'envoie ta l'herbe, c'est pour l'y cueillir. On m'envoie ta l'herbe, c'est pour l'y cueillir. J'en ai pas cueilli, j'ai cherché tes nids. Au chant de l'alouette, je veille, je dors. J'écoute l'alouette et puis je m'endors. J'ai trouvé la caille assise sur son nid. J'ai trouvé la caille assise sur son nid. Lui marchait sur l'aile et la lui rompit. Au chant de l'alouette, je veille, je dors. J'écoute l'alouette et puis je m'endors. Elle me dit pucelle, retire-toi d'ici. Elle me dit pucelle, retire-toi d'ici. Elle me dit va-t'en, tu détruis mon nid. Au chant de l'alouette, je veille, je dors. J'écoute l'alouette et puis je m'endors. Ne suis pas pucelle, tu en as menti. Ne suis pas pucelle, j'ai un mari et 3 beaux enfants et tous 3 de lui. Au chant de l'alouette, je veille, je dors. J'écoute l'alouette et puis je m'endors. l'un en Angleterre et l'autre à Paris, l'un en Angleterre et l'autre à Paris, le troisième chez mon père, le plus joli. Au chant de l'alouette, je veille, je dors, j'écoute l'alouette et puis je m'endors. Il portera couronne de fleurs de lis, il portera couronne de fleurs de lis, il sera roi de France ou bien de Madrid. Au chant de l'alouette, je veille, je dors, j'écoute l'alouette et puis je m'endors.
There's just these folks who appear in all my works who some make it in, some almost make it in, some don't make it at all. I say to one, listen, I'm sorry I can't put you in because I have that one in and it's going to conflict with the composition, so I'm going to let you out. And then they insist I put them in anyway. So if you look, some are almost cartoons and some are a little bit more realistic. And we all have to have some kind of emotional content. I go to an audition and there's a young actor there, hears me talking to somebody, he says, I know that voice. And then it turns out they've seen me as Dr. Vink in Are You Afraid of the Dark? Oh, and recently, really recent, when we went to Montreal on the train, coming back, the steward, the guy who sells you the drinks and the sandwiches and what have you, he said to me, I'm a fan of yours. Did you do Are You Afraid of the Dark? I said, yeah. Dr. Vink? I said, yes. With the v. He says, yeah. And he went like this. He grabbed his heart. I couldn't believe it, you know. And then as I was going down the aisle to the washroom, another guy was getting off at the next stop. And he said, I know you. Dr. Vink. So all these guys are around the same age, you know, like your age, you know, and they all remembered. So I have a bit of a fan club. In the States, too, I get a call every once in a while from somebody. This guy called me up some time ago and he said, look, I want to ask you a favor. My brother's birthday tomorrow. I said, yeah. If I gave you his cell phone number, could you do your laugh for him? I said, what? He said, yeah, I would really appreciate it. I said, okay, this one time. The next time it's going to cost you.
Did your father approve of your
life
choice?
He had an edge there that he kept down. He was, on the one hand, very proud of me whenever I did something, you know. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, he always felt that I should be, you know, making a living, you know. That was part of his upbringing. And like I have a tape of them, two of them. I interviewed them. They came to see me in Vermont, and I had this tape recorder that a friend of mine has given me, and we had nothing to do that weekend. I don't play cards. They don't play cards. So I said, all right, I'll interview you. You're going to be on the tape, and I'll interview you. So I interviewed them about their life, you know. So he's talking about his life, and he says about the various jobs that he had through the years. And he was always very good mechanically, so he always got it, and he was a good worker. And he said, I was never fired, ever, in my whole life. And that was, I think, meant to me a little bit too, because I got fired once or twice. But I think it wasn't meant for me. He was proud of the fact that he was always useful to people that he worked for, and he had to quit. He says, I quit a few times, but I never was fired.
Testing the water, the place. the body, heat clash with cool wave. After kisses and resting in the cave, we beat tracks for the nesting grass. The wind cries rain can't cheat the grass gods. What are we questing? Drinking whiskey neat, picking daisies. There's a beer in the cooler, you want it? Some sweet skin left on the heart head of the scholar has been and seen better days. Dog collar gone, verdigris green, the excuse, the extraterrestrial, solar, be warm, be cool scene. Faithful King Ling, the courtier said, Queen Ling is in distress, would like your majesty to bring forth the rest of the sheen of government. Without her I cling, said the king, to my spleen. I am the throne, she the wing, she must appear spring green. A little something to tide you over? Over what? You have to pay for the ride, lover. No freebies, no special treatment. Speed up the delivery. No, nobody knows you anyway. Cover your tracks, stay behind or in the lead. Get down, lower. The flawed fraud buck rat gnawed luck took board in tuck, still stood stuck. Out of my mouth the queer tingling of the rich tongue. I'm going south, bitch. You can't soothe me anymore. You can have every last bit of stitch of my cover. Eye tooth you said you'd give to hatch this golden egg. Hello. This fellow, Miss Mellow, thanks to you, kissed the pillow last night. Your wrist grew on to his groping hand. Mr. Brains in your eyes, Mr. Brains in your eyes, Mr. Brains in your eyes, your supernatural rational lens pries into the deep set. When you weans yourself, you dies in the way Xmas leans over against Easter's thighs. Rhyme a foggy night bright with soggy plight. Light, you get groggy. Hold me tight, love, in the froggy, boggy whiteout. Born blind, torn mind, mourn Sunday is occasional to the long bent back of the week. A lean hound casual scream slides a ghost into everybody's Monday. No one gets a chance to individual before countdown and bunk black Tuesday, ground out Norwegian thunder granite. Vocational rehabilitation, if all goes by the wall, well, by Wednesday you should have fingers. National Thursday is here, and naturally this gives rise to tantalizing Friday funs. Bucking, bronco, back, broke, break. Irrational Saturday with eclipses of moons and late-night confessionals on violent verandas across nation. Sunday is occasional to the long bent back of the week.
The song of the eye travels to the ear of the heart so swiftly that the heart sees what the eye hears before the brain pronounces. I know how to prepare a role. I know how to be in the moment. And I am eternally grateful to the fellows who say, Aron, could you turn a little bit to the left? Aron, could you take another little step to your right? Aron, you're doing fine, Aron, you're doing fine. Now, just move your head a little bit more. That's what I know about filmmaking, what the filmmaker tells me. And I've always been grateful to you guys, and I'm very happy and honored to be here to present this particular group of works. My wife and partner, Ann Page, rehearsing her new script. She is indeed one of the most perfect women in the world.
We were indeed a thoroughly loving couple.
She tries to talk but breaks into tears.
Oh.
How was the rehearsal, dear? Sheridan behaving himself? Has he paid you yet? What is it, Dora? Something bothering you?
Oh, William, walking to the theatre today, I passed the print shop. Oh, William, a large crowd had gathered outside and were looking into the window. They were laughing, so of course I stopped to look.
Dora, I've told you not to walk outside alone. You never know what might happen.
Oh, don't worry, I pulled my shawl over my face. No one would have recognised me.
Good girl. So?
It was a caricature by James Gilray.
Oh, that one. Well, tell me, old girl, what did it say?
Oh, William, the crowd was laughing so much I found my glasses and
What was it, Dora? You can tell me.
You and me. He had drawn you and me in bed. I was sitting up in bed with you fast asleep in my arms. The bed covers were lifted on one side to show a chamber pot, a Jordan under the bed. And written on it were the words, "Open to all parties, a public Jordan." And hanging on the chair, your naval jacket.
Did anyone see you?
No. I hailed a carriage and came straight home.
The wretch. I should call the hoodlum out.
William!
Don't worry, my love. I won't lower myself this time. managed to land a very inexpensive cottage to live in, and I was able to go out there onto the lawn, and there was a beautiful tree there, and I would actually go out there and lie in the grass and commute with nature. And all of a sudden I looked at the grass that I was lying in, and this came to me, and I had to run into the house to get a piece of paper to write it down. I know the grass. She is a philosopher, perhaps the god of philosophers. Tear her, absent-mindedly thinking of other things. Tread on her. She is immense, has much to give and nothing to lose. Compare her green laughter when she is cut to the screams of one rose. At the time, I looked at a lot of stuff, and when I was a teenager, of course, I was at the High School of Music and Art, and one of the best places to pick up girls was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I mean, I wasn't that good at it, but I knew one thing, that if you are looking at a particular piece of art, and there's a girl standing there looking at it too, all you have to do is say, "That's something else, isn't it?" And she would say, "Yeah, I love that piece. Do you want to have a cup of coffee?" That was something like that. So, but more than that, at places like that, the Museum of Modern Art and the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Guggenheim Museum, which had, when I was in high school, they didn't have the Frank Lloyd Wright structure. They had, the Guggenheim Museum was in the Guggenheim Mansion on Fifth Avenue, and it was really wild because you walked in there and it was room after room of the latest abstract art on white walls, and they had little couches you could sit down and get blown away on, you know. And I was very impressed with that. I'm not so impressed now with a lot of what is called art. But then there was Kandinsky, and there was some of the other early moderns, and it was something else. It was like listening to jazz. It was quite beautiful. So that was one thing that had an effect on me, and but at the same time, I loved classical art, and I loved the different periods, and I loved the so-called post-impressionists and the cubists, and everybody had something to say to me. And mostly drawing was very important to me, and when I began to discover how important it was, I drew more and more. And even in my acting days, I used to draw all the time. And I used to draw on the subway. That was my the best studio I ever had. Just to sit on the subway and draw. And so drawing became very important, and it's still important. And now I fool around with drawing, but I do sometimes very classical style drawing. And I just love to keep it going, you see. So the acting and the drawing seem to be okay together, you know. They didn't quarrel with each other.
À la claire fontaine, m'en allant promener, j'ai trouvé l'eau si belle que je m'y suis baignée. À l'ombre d'un grand chêne, je me suis fait sécher. Sur la plus haute branche, un rossignol chantait. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime, jamais je ne t'oublierai. Chante, rossignol, chante, toi qui as le cœur gai. Tu as le cœur à rire, moi je l'ai à pleurer.
I did this all in pieces of scratchboard, which I then layered on this large board. And so it's almost 3D in a way.
Flock to snuggle, goosey, the mean goose, the kind. Winter, come on, goose, nuzzle, redeem, goosey. Oh, so geese do haggle, honk, honk, hank, hoot. Unseen wing, wonder, clutter, flutter, clutter, flut, geese, gaggle, goo. A cold beer is in order for heat hash doldrums. It comes to Jack and Jill as the hill continues up. A mere bag of tell me no, oh baby, keep it to your individual self-stack of preservations. Allow me to steer clear of confessions galore. Enjoy the flesh, hands, mouth, smack, tongue in your mynheer. Care is needed here. Kindly stand or lie back is needed here. The street is the walker, I am the feet at every open door, a talker, dark doors, filter, light people, shadows cheat me. I'm your book backer, beat me. I'm your only one, only available spy, your shadow stalker. Willing begets space limited. Wine begets the clarity cloud. Distilling grape, go beyond, flag a sign. Ailing combats at your door, not mine. Hailing the fish, I hook it, cook it, divine dine. The blossoms this night explode for you. Schemes of color pattern themselves in us as we go at it. Of all the themes, the one theme, and you get it, I know, as we. Every bliss bubbles, teems with the jump of swift fish. Let it dawn on you. Every so little often, as your notion of me chimes in with my ocean for you, as you soften to me after hard times and remove from the inevitable coffin these ragged rhymes, before you toughen all skins, let the dancers and mimes of the heart teach you. I don't know teach any tricks. I am along the way, faithful to the mix of me. A song sticks out of me, potently pointed. I belong to the lips and eyes of you. Flash licks of your lightning tongue touch in the temple of you. I beat my little gong. Coming along. It's coming along. This dance into the hours with you. Summing it up, I can only say I'm into it. We haven't gone swimming naked yet. I'm into it. Summer's last blaze, days dimming into dusks around the corner, all fall and winter with you. I'm these leaves of our blazing eyes.
I was lying sleeping on the floor, and I dreamt that out of the mirror that was in the dresser, these guys were walking out, and they were all Oriental scholars and types, because I did a lot of reading in Chinese poetry and this, that, and the other, in English, of course. And since one guy steps out, and he's wearing a red coat and has a red hat, and typical Chinese scholar style, they have portraits of them, have a little like skull cap, and I'm sitting there, and I have a little chair. I'm holding a little miniature chair in my hand. And he takes it from me. And he says, in the language of dream, somebody can be speaking their own language, but it all ends up the language that you understand. So you know what he's saying, even though you don't actually hear the words. And he says to me, he takes it away from me, and he says, you don't need this anymore. And he walks off with it into the other room. There was another room outside of my bedroom. It was just like my bedroom, except and I used to sleep on the floor, so on a little, foam something. And he walks out, and then another guy comes through, and another guy comes through. And they're all Oriental scholars whom I don't know for sure who they are, and they all meet in the other room, and they're talking in language I don't understand, but they're talking about me. And then out of the mirror comes this kabuki actor, the Japanese theater, and he is all in black and white, sharply painted, and costume very black and clear. And he's doing that whole kabuki thing. It's very scary. And I'm sitting there shivering. And then I notice that there's some red here and there. And I remembered because this is a very complicated story, mind you. I remembered because I took a seminar with a Japanese actor who was a star of the Kabuki Theater. He came to New York to give a seminar and demonstration. And he explained to us that underneath the black paint that they use in the Kabuki, they put red first. The reason it's symbolic, so that the blood will be there underneath the black. You don't see it, but it's there. So they use red paint, and then on top of that is black. So when I woke up, I went to one of the things I was doing, and I cut my name out at the bottom of it, and then I painted in red. And then after that, whenever I work in black and white especially, I always use red ink to sign in. So it won't all be black and white. And the red is the blood. It's the warmth, if you're not using anything else, if you're not using color. So that was the dream. It was a dream that taught me a little bit about Oriental art, Yeah. So things like that happen to me. Sometimes I dream and I forget right away, so I don't know. And there's a lot of it is what I call my garbage dump. Things that happen during the day, or world affairs and things that really haunt me and make me feel miserable. They come in various forms, and then I get rid of them, get them out, in my garbage can of dreams, I've cried in a dream, and I think I cry for the world. I cry for life. I cry for all the sadness in the world, or myself. I cry for myself.
On the good ship, lollipop, it's a sweet trip to a candy shop where bonbons play on the sunny beach of Peppermint Bay. Lemonade